Daddy, I'm scared, the text reads. The phone buzzes at 4:17 a.m., and Alaric Voss doesn't move. He's standing at the floor-to-ceiling window of his penthouse office, watching the city lights blur into dawn when the second buzz comes. Then a third. He turns, eyes narrowing at the device vibrating against the obsidian desk. In 300 years, exactly 7 people have possessed this number. His phone doesn't ring unless the world is ending, or someone very important is dying. The screen illuminates with an unknown number. Attached is a photograph. His entire body goes rigid. The image shows a little girl, perhaps 6 years old, huddled in a corner. Her face is pressed against her knees, small hands covering her ears. Behind her, through a grimy window, shadows move. Alaric's fingers close around the phone with enough force to crack the titanium case. His mind races through every possibility, every enemy, every ancient grudge that might have finally found purchase. But the word Daddy rings in his skull like a bell. He has no children. He's made certain of that for centuries. His thumb hovers over the number before he presses call. It rings once, twice. Then a voice answers. Breathless, terrified, young. Please, the woman whispers. Please, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. She grabbed my phone and I don't know who she texted. Please don't be angry. Please. Where are you? His voice comes out colder than he intends, each word precise as a blade. What? The child in the photograph. Where is she? A pause. He can hear muffled thumping in the background, raised voices. The woman's breathing quickens. We're at 1847 Maple Street, apartment 3C, but I don't understand. Who are you? Rosie just grabbed my phone and started typing random numbers and... The line goes dead. Alaric is already moving. Gwyneth Park sits on the threadbare carpet of her living room at 4:23 a.m., trying to process what just happened. Her hands shake as she stares at her phone, at the message her daughter sent to a complete stranger. Rosie is asleep now, finally. The poor thing had another nightmare, the same one about the shadow people who come through the walls. 3 nights this week. The therapist says it's normal for children going through trauma, that nightmares are how they process fear. Gwyneth wishes she could afford more than 2 sessions a month. She scrubs her face with both hands, exhaustion weighing down every limb. The eviction notice on the kitchen counter seems to glow in the dark, mocking her. 30 days. They have 30 days to come up with 3 months back rent, or they're on the street. The thumping from apartment 3B finally stopped an hour ago. Her neighbor, Derek, and his friends had been partying until the early morning hours, their voices carrying through the paper-thin walls. That's what triggered Rosie's nightmare. That's what sent her stumbling into Gwyneth's lap, crying about the shadow people. And somehow, in her distress, Rosie had grabbed Gwyneth's phone from the coffee table and sent that message. To a random number. With a photo Gwyneth had taken to show the therapist how bad the nightmares had gotten. The man's voice on the phone had been cold, arctic, the kind of cold that suggested violence delivered with perfect precision. She shouldn't have answered. She definitely shouldn't have told him their address. Gwyneth stands, moving to check the locks on the door for the 3rd time. The chain is flimsy, the bolt loose in its housing. Their landlord, Mr. Patterson, hasn't fixed anything in the 18 months they've lived here. He's too busy sending threatening texts about the rent. She peers through the peephole into the dimly lit hallway. Empty. A car door slams outside. Gwyneth's stomach clenches. It's probably nothing. It's probably just someone coming home late. Except it's Monday night, technically Tuesday morning now, and no one in this building keeps those kinds of hours except Derek and his friends. Footsteps in the hallway, measured, deliberate. They stop outside her door. Gwyneth holds her breath, pressing her eye to the peephole. A man stands in the corridor, and even through the distorted glass, she can tell he doesn't belong here. His suit probably costs more than her car. His dark hair is swept back from a face that looks carved from marble, beautiful in a way that makes her throat tight. He's looking directly at the peephole, directly at her. Miss Park, he says quietly, open the door. Every instinct screams at her to stay silent, to pretend she's not home. But something in his voice compels obedience. She finds her hand moving to the chain, sliding it free. The bolt comes next. She opens the door 6 inches, keeping her body in the gap. "How do you know my name?" "Your phone is registered to you," the address matched. He glances past her into the apartment, his gaze sharp and assessing. The child who sent the message. Rosie. "She's yours?" Gwyneth nods slowly. "She's 6. She had a nightmare and grabbed my phone. I'm sorry she bothered you. I don't know how she got your number. She can't even read yet." "She didn't get my number through conventional means." His eyes return to her face, and for a moment, she forgets how to breathe. They're not quite brown, not quite gold. Something in between that seems to catch the hallway's fluorescent light. "May I come in?" "Absolutely not. I don't know you." The corner of his mouth twitches. It might be amusement. Wise. But I need to see the child. "Why?" "She's asleep. She's fine. It was just a nightmare." "The shadows she's afraid of." He takes a step closer, and Gwyneth has to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. He's tall, powerfully built beneath that expensive suit. "Describe them." "I'm not describing my daughter's nightmares to a stranger at 4 a.m. Miss Park." His voice drops lower, and she feels the sound vibrate through her chest. "I received a distress call showing a child in danger with the word Daddy." In my world, that means one of 2 things. Either someone is threatening me using an innocent life, or something is very wrong that requires my immediate attention. The fact that your daughter can't read but somehow reached a number that doesn't exist in any database suggests the latter. Gwyneth's fingers tighten on the door. "Your world? What world is that?" "One where children don't have nightmares about shadow people unless those shadows are real." The temperature in the hallway seems to drop 10 degrees. Gwyneth wants to laugh, to slam the door in his face and chalk this up to the universe's cruelest joke. But Rosie's nightmares have been getting worse, not better. And last week she swore she saw finger marks on the window, inside the glass. "She says they come through the walls," Gwyneth hears herself say. "They whisper things. They want her to open the door." Alaric's expression darkens. "What door?" "I don't know. She won't say. She just cries and says she won't do it. She won't open the door. Please don't make her open the door." He's silent for a long moment, and Gwyneth watches emotions flicker across his face. Anger, recognition, something that might be concern. Then he straightens, pulling a card from his inner jacket pocket. "Pack a bag," he says. "Essential items only. You and your daughter are leaving this apartment immediately." "Excuse me? There's a breach in the warding around this building. Something has been feeding on her fear, gaining strength. If it's progressed to the point where she's being asked to open doors, we're past the warning stage." He presses the card into her hand. "I have a property 20 minutes from here. Secure. Protected. You'll stay there until I can determine the source." Gwyneth stares at the card. It's heavy, expensive stock. Embossed lettering, Alaric Voss. Voss Collective. Below that, a phone number and an address in the city's most exclusive district. "You're insane," she says flatly. "I'm not going anywhere with you. I'm calling the police." "And telling them what?" "That a strange man showed up after your daughter texted him at 4 a.m. about shadow people?" He tilts his head. "They'll take the child while they investigate. Protective custody. Is that what you want?" The words hit like a physical blow. Gwyneth's vision blurs at the edges. She's barely hanging on as it is, working 2 jobs, dodging collection calls, trying to keep them housed and fed. If CPS gets involved, if they think she can't provide a safe environment. "I can see your mind working through the scenarios," Alaric says, his voice gentler now. "You're calculating how many hours you'll have before someone reports this conversation to the authorities. How long before they decide a single mother in a condemned building can't protect her child from night terrors. How quickly you'll lose her. Stop. I'm offering you an alternative. A safe place. No obligations. No cost. Just until we resolve this." "Why?" The word comes out broken. Why would you help us? You don't know us. Alaric looks at her for a long moment, and something ancient moves behind his eyes. Because that child called me for help, he says quietly. And in my world, Miss Park, that creates a debt. One I intend to honor. 25 minutes later, Gwyneth is sitting in the back of a Mercedes that costs more than her entire life, watching the city blur past while Rosie sleeps against her shoulder. The car is silent, except for the soft hum of the engine and her daughter's breathing. Alaric sits in the front passenger seat, speaking in low tones on his phone. She catches fragments. Seal the building. And trace signatures back to source. And no, I'll handle the investigation personally. They pull up to a high-rise building that looks like it was designed by someone who wanted to intimidate God. All glass and steel, jutting into the sky like a blade. The doorman opens Gwyneth's door before the car fully stops, greeting Alaric with a deferential nod. Mr. Voss, the penthouse has been prepared as requested. Thank you, Marcus. Alaric moves around the car to where Gwyneth is trying to gather Rosie and their hastily packed duffel without dropping anything. He reaches for the bag. Allow me. She wants to refuse. Every instinct says to grab her daughter and run. But Rosie is heavy with sleep, and the bag is awkward, and she's so tired she could cry. Okay, she whispers. The elevator ride is silent. Gwyneth watches the numbers climb, 20 floors, 30, 40, until they reach the top. The doors open directly into an apartment that makes her apartment look like a cardboard box. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the entire city. The furniture is modern, elegant, the kind you see in magazines. There's art on the walls that's probably worth more than she'll make in a lifetime. Everything is pristine, untouched, like a museum. The guest suite is this way. Alaric leads her down a hallway, opening a door to reveal a bedroom larger than her entire apartment. The bed is enormous, covered in linens that probably have a thread count higher than her credit score. The bathroom is through there. You'll find everything you need. Gwyneth stands in the doorway, Rosie in her arms, and tries to process this. I don't understand what's happening. You're exhausted. Your daughter is safe. Those are the only things that matter right now. He sets the duffel on a chair. Sleep. We'll talk when you wake. But the shadows can't reach her here. This building exists partially outside normal space. The wards are absolute. He moves to the door, pausing at the threshold. You're safe, Miss Park. I promise you that. The door closes with a soft click, and Gwyneth is alone with her sleeping daughter in a room that costs more per night than she makes in a month. She lays Rosie on the bed, tucking the expensive sheets around her small body. Then she sits on the edge of the mattress, and finally, lets herself cry. Gwyneth wakes to sunlight streaming through windows and the smell of coffee. For a moment, she's disoriented. The ceiling is wrong, the light is wrong, everything is wrong. Then memory crashes back and she sits up, heart pounding. Rosie is gone. She's out of bed in an instant, stumbling into the hallway. Rosie, baby? In here, Mommy. Her daughter's voice drifts from somewhere deeper in the apartment. Gwyneth follows it to a kitchen that looks like something from a cooking show. Rosie sits at a massive island, swinging her legs and eating what appears to be French toast. Alaric stands at the stove, flipping something in a pan with casual expertise. He's not wearing a suit anymore, just dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. It should make him less intimidating. Somehow it doesn't. Morning, he says without turning around. Coffee's in the pot, cream in the fridge. Rosie beams at her. Mommy, Mr. Alaric makes the best French toast, and he has a cat. You have a cat? Gwyneth moves to her daughter automatically, checking her over. No injuries, no signs of distress, just sticky fingers and a milk mustache. I have several. They're rescues. He slides another piece of French toast onto a plate, adding a small mountain of strawberries. Your daughter informed me that strawberries are her favorite, so I had Marcus pick some up. At 7 in the morning? I pay for availability. He sets the plate in front of her. Eat, then we'll talk. The French toast is perfect. Gwyneth hates that it's perfect. She hates that her daughter is comfortable here, that she slept better in a strange bed than she has in weeks, that this terrifying man in his terrifying expensive apartment has shown them more kindness in 12 hours than anyone has in months. She hates that she wants to trust him. After breakfast, Alaric sets Rosie up in what he calls the library, with a tablet loaded with age-appropriate shows and more toys than any child needs. Then he guides Gwyneth to his office, a room dominated by that same obsidian desk she'd seen last night in the photograph. "Sit," he says, gesturing to a leather chair. Gwyneth sits. Alaric remains standing, hands clasped behind his back. "I'm going to tell you something that will sound impossible. I need you to listen without interruption until I'm finished. Can you do that?" She nods. "I'm not human, Miss Park. I haven't been for roughly 3 centuries. I'm what your folklore calls a vampire, though that term is imprecise." He watches her face carefully. "I don't sleep in coffins. I don't turn into a bat. I can walk in sunlight, though I prefer not to. I do require blood to survive, but I have ethical sources, and I'm very, very old." Gwyneth stares at him. Then she stands. "I'd like to take my daughter and leave now. Sit down." It's not a request. The command in his voice bypasses her conscious mind, and her legs fold, dropping her back into the chair. She gasps, adrenaline flooding her system. "That," Alaric says quietly, "is compulsion. I won't use it on you again unless absolutely necessary. I'm showing you what I am so you understand the scope of what we're dealing with." "Let me go." Her voice shakes. "Let us go right now or I'll scream." "Scream if you need to, but your daughter is in danger, and I'm the only one who can help her." He moves to the window, giving her space. The shadows haunting Rosie aren't metaphorical. They're wraiths, creatures that feed on fear and innocence. They've been targeting her specifically because she has a gift, a sensitivity to the supernatural world. That's insane. Is it? She sent a text message to a number that doesn't exist. She reached across impossible distance to call for help from someone she's never met. That's not random, Miss Park. That's power. He turns to face her. The wraiths want that power. They've been weakening the barriers between worlds, trying to convince her to open a door. If she does, they'll pour through. And your daughter will be the first casualty. Gwyneth's hands are shaking. "I want proof. Show me proof." Alaric is silent for a moment. Then he walks to his desk, opens a drawer, and pulls out a small mirror. He holds it up. His reflection doesn't appear. Gwyneth's breath catches. "Mirrors don't lie," he says. "Neither do I." "Not about this." He sets the mirror down. "I've lived a long time, Miss Park. I've built companies, amassed wealth, played politics with creatures older than written language. I've seen empires rise and fall. I've loved and lost and learned to exist in a world that's forgotten magic is real. And in all that time, I've never had a child reach out to me the way your daughter did." "Why you?" Gwyneth whispers. "Why would she reach out to you?" "I don't know. That's what concerns me." He returns to the window, his reflection absent from the glass. In our world, calling someone daddy implies a bond, a connection. I have no children. I've made sure of it. So either someone is manipulating events to create a false bond, or... He trails off. "Or what? Or your daughter recognized something in me that even I don't understand." He turns back to her. "Either way, she's under my protection now. That message created a debt. In my culture, debts are binding." Gwyneth wants to laugh, to cry, to grab Rosie and run as far as possible. But the memory of her daughter's nightmares, the shadows on the window, the way Rosie had known to reach for help from a stranger, it all clicks into a horrible kind of sense. "What do we do?" she asks finally. "You stay here, where the wards can protect you. I investigate. I find out who or what is targeting your daughter, and I end them." His voice goes cold on the last words, permanently. 3 days pass. Gwyneth tries to maintain some semblance of normalcy, reading to Rosie, playing games, pretending they're on vacation. But Rosie asks questions. Why can't we go home? When will we see our friends? Why does Mr. Alaric smell like nighttime? That last question makes Alaric laugh. A real laugh, startled and genuine. Nighttime has a smell? He asks. Yeah, Rosie says seriously. Like the wind before it rains. Like stars. After that, something shifts. Alaric starts spending more time with them. He teaches Rosie chess, even though she's too young to understand strategy. He shows her his collection of antique books, letting her carefully turn the pages. He tells her stories about places he's been, carefully edited for a 6-year-old audience. And Gwyneth watches, her heart doing complicated things in her chest. On the 4th night, Alaric asks her to join him on the balcony after Rosie is asleep. The city sprawls below them, a carpet of light. I found something, he says without preamble. The wraiths targeting your daughter aren't random. They were sent. Gwyneth's stomach drops. By who? A vampire named Corwin Rhodes. He's old, powerful, and holds a grudge against me that dates back a century. Alaric's hands tighten on the railing. He's been watching you, both of you, waiting for an opportunity. Why? What did we do? Nothing. You're collateral damage. A way to hurt me. He turns to look at her, and his eyes are blazing gold. The message Rosie sent wasn't random. Corwin planted a suggestion in her dreams, guiding her toward my number. He wanted me to find you, to form a connection. And then he planned to destroy you in front of me. The words hang in the air between them. Why would that hurt you? Gwyneth asks quietly. You don't know us. I do now. The admission sounds like it costs him something. Your daughter calls me when she's frightened. She asks me to check for monsters under her bed. She drew me a picture yesterday. He pulls a folded piece of paper from his pocket, smoothing it out. It shows 3 stick figures holding hands under a crayon sun. She wrote family at the top. Gwyneth's vision blurs. Alaric. I haven't been part of a family in 300 years, he continues. I stopped believing I deserved one. But your daughter looked at me and saw something worth saving, worth protecting. And you, he faces her fully. You let a monster into your home to keep her safe. You trusted me when every instinct told you to run. Why? Because I was out of options, Gwyneth says honestly. Because I was drowning and you threw me a rope. Because my daughter needed help and you gave it without asking for anything in return. She takes a breath. And because you make really good French toast. He laughs again, soft and surprised. That's your criteria? Breakfast food? It's a start. She moves closer, closing the distance between them. What happens now? With Corwin? I handle it. He made a mistake targeting you. He reminded me why I survive when others fall. Alaric reaches out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture is gentle, intimate. I have something worth protecting now. The words settle between them like a promise. The confrontation happens on the 7th day. Gwyneth is reading to Rosie when Alaric appears in the doorway, his face grim. He's here, Corwin. He's come to finish this. Here? In the building? He has 20 vampires with him. It's a direct challenge. Alaric's eyes meet hers. I need you to take Rosie to the safe room. No matter what you hear, don't come out until I get you. Alaric! Please. He crosses the room, kneeling in front of Rosie. Remember what we talked about? The special room? Rosie nods solemnly. The room where the shadows can't go. That's right. I need you to be very brave and stay there with your mother. Can you do that for me? Will you be okay? I'll be fine, little one. I promise. He touches her cheek gently, then stands. Go. Now. The safe room is behind a hidden panel in the office. A reinforced space with its own air supply and enough provisions to last weeks. Gwyneth watches through a small monitor as Alaric walks to the elevator, his posture relaxed despite the army waiting for him. The doors open. Vampires pour out. What follows is violence so swift and brutal that Gwyneth can barely track it. Alaric moves like liquid death, each motion economical and devastating. He's not fighting to win, he's fighting to obliterate. It's over in 90 seconds. Bodies litter the floor. Alaric stands in the center of the carnage, not even breathing hard. Then a figure emerges from the elevator, older, dressed in old-fashioned clothes, moving with predatory grace. Corwin, still pretending to be civilized, Voss. His voice carries through the speakers. Still collecting strays and broken things. She's not broken. Alaric's voice is deadly quiet. And she's under my protection, as is her daughter. That child is a beacon. Her power will attract worse than wraiths eventually. You're just delaying the inevitable. Corwin circles him slowly. Give them to me. I'll make it quick, painless, and we can end this century-old dance of ours. No. Then you'll watch them die slowly. I'll make sure of it. You won't touch them. Alaric's form blurs, and suddenly he's behind Corwin, hand wrapped around the other vampire's throat. Because if you do, I'll spend the next 100 years hunting down everything you've ever cared about. Every business, every ally, every human you've marked as property. I'll burn it all to ash and make you watch. Corwin laughs, even with Alaric's hand crushing his windpipe. You've changed. The Alaric I knew wouldn't threaten torture over a human woman and her child. The Alaric you knew died the moment that little girl called me for help. His grip tightens. This is your only warning. Leave. Never return. Never think their names again. Or I'll show you exactly how monstrous I can be. For a long moment they're frozen. Then Corwin nods, just slightly, and Alaric releases him. The older vampire straightens his clothes, something like respect in his eyes. You've found your line, Corwin says. Interesting. I'll honor it, for now. He moves to the elevator. But Voss? When that child's power matures, others will come. More powerful than me, more ruthless. You can't protect them forever. Watch me! The elevator doors close. Alaric stands alone in the ruined apartment, surrounded by bodies that will turn to ash by morning. Then he looks directly at the camera, as if he can see through it to where Gwyneth watches. It's done, he says quietly. You're safe now. Later, after the bodies are gone and the apartment is restored and Rosie is sleeping peacefully in her bed, Gwyneth finds Alaric on the balcony again. He's staring at the city, hands in his pockets. You didn't have to do that, she says. Risk yourself like that. Yes, I did. Why? Corwin was right. We're just humans. Eventually we'll age. We'll die. Why tie yourself to something so temporary? Alaric turns to look at her, and his expression is soft in a way she's never seen. I've had centuries of permanent things. Wealth, power, influence. None of it mattered. None of it made me feel alive. He reaches for her hand, threading their fingers together. Then a terrified 6-year-old sent me a message at 4 a.m., and suddenly I remembered what it was like to have purpose. Protecting us is your purpose? No. He pulls her closer, until they're sharing breath. Having something worth living for is my purpose. You and Rosie reminded me that forever is only meaningful if you have someone to share it with. Alaric, I'm nobody. I'm a waitress with debt and an eviction notice and a daughter who sees things that shouldn't exist. I can't offer you anything. You offered me trust when I was a stranger in your hallway. You offered me patience when I showed you a world you didn't believe in. You offered me your daughter's laughter and your own fierce courage. His thumb traces circles on the back of her hand. That's everything, Gwyneth. That's more than I've had in 300 years. She wants to argue, to point out all the ways this can't work. But Rosie's nightmares are gone. They're safe. And standing here in the arms of a vampire who makes French toast and teaches chess and looks at her like she's precious, she can't find the words. What happens now? She whispers. Now you stay. Both of you. This becomes your home. I handle the wraiths permanently. I teach Rosie to control her gift. And he pauses, we see where this goes. You want to date? A single mother and her terrified kid? I want to build something. A life. A family. Something permanent in all the best ways. He leans down, pressing his forehead to hers. If you'll have me. Gwyneth thinks about their apartment with its broken locks and thin walls. She thinks about working double shifts and dodging collectors. She thinks about Rosie crying about shadows while she felt helpless to protect her. Then she thinks about the last week, about Rosie's laughter, about feeling safe, about Alaric reading bedtime stories with infinite patience, making breakfast at dawn, standing between them and danger without hesitation, about the way he looks at her, like she's not broken, like she's enough. Okay, she says, but I'm keeping my job. I'm not some damsel who needs rescuing. I wouldn't want you any other way. He smiles, and it transforms his face. Though I should mention I own the restaurant where you work. I may have bought it yesterday. I'm giving you a promotion and a raise. Alaric! What? I'm a businessman. I see value, and I acquire it. His smile turns wicked. Also, I didn't like how your manager looked at you. He's been transferred to our Alaska location. You can't just... He kisses her. It's soft and careful and full of promise. When he pulls back, Gwyneth has forgotten every argument. Welcome home, he murmurs. 6 months later, Gwyneth stands in front of a mirror in a dress that costs more than her old car, adjusting her hair for the 5th time. Behind her, Rosie bounces on the bed in her own fancy dress, purple, her favorite color, with sparkles. Mommy, are you nervous? A little bit, baby. Don't be. Mr. Alaric loves us. Rosie says it with complete conviction. He told me. He said we're his family now and he'll never let anything hurt us. Gwyneth's throat tightens. Did he? Yeah. And he said that even though he can't be my real daddy, he wants to be the next best thing. What's the next best thing, Mommy? I think it means he wants to be your daddy anyway. She turns from the mirror, crouching down to Rosie's level. Would that be okay with you? Rosie throws her arms around Gwyneth's neck. Yes! Yes, yes, yes! There's a knock on the door. Alaric enters, devastating in a tailored suit, and freezes when he sees them. You're beautiful, he says to Gwyneth. Then to Rosie, and you're a princess. I know, Rosie twirls, making her dress float. Are you ready? Are all the people here? They are. Half the supernatural community came to witness this. He holds out his hand to Gwyneth. Are you ready? It's not too late to run. I'm not running. She takes his hand, feeling the familiar, cool strength of it. I'm exactly where I want to be. The ceremony is small, a claiming ritual, Alaric called it. A public declaration before his people that Gwyneth and Rosie are under his eternal protection. That they belong to him, and he to them. It's not a wedding. Not exactly. But when Alaric speaks the ancient words, binding his life to theirs, promising to guard them through all the years of their mortal lives and beyond, it feels more sacred than any vow. The room full of vampires and witches and creatures she's still learning about watches in silence. Then, as one, they bow. To her, to Rosie, to the humans who somehow won the heart of the most powerful vampire in the city. Afterward, at the reception, Gwyneth stands with Alaric's arm around her waist while various supernatural dignitaries approach to offer congratulations. Some seem genuinely pleased, others are calculating, already trying to figure out the angles. She doesn't care. Rosie is laughing with a group of young witches who are teaching her to make flowers bloom with magic. The nightmares are gone. They have a home, a real one, safe and permanent. And she has this impossible man who looks at her like she's the most precious thing in his very long life. Regrets? Alaric murmurs in her ear. Not even one. She turns in his arms, rising on her toes to kiss him. Though I still think buying my workplace was excessive. I'm a vampire. We're excessive by nature. You'll learn. He pulls her closer. Besides, now you're the general manager of the most successful restaurant in the city, with full benefits, and your daughter attends the best private school, and you never have to worry about anything again. Except figuring out how to fit into your world. Our world now, he corrects, and you're already doing it perfectly. His expression softens. You saved me, Gwyneth. That night when Rosie's message came through, I was standing in my office contemplating another century of emptiness. Then suddenly there was this little girl who needed help, and her fierce mother who faced down a monster to protect her. You reminded me what it means to be alive. She called you Daddy. She did, and somehow I've become that. He glances at Rosie, who's now sitting on the floor with a young vampire teaching her chess. A 300-year-old creature of the night, playing tea party and checking for monsters under the bed. You're good at it. I have a good teacher. He kisses her temple. Thank you for trusting me, for staying, for making me believe in forever again. Across the room, Rosie looks up and waves at them, her smile bright enough to chase away any darkness. Alaric waves back, his entire face transforming with affection. And Gwyneth thinks about that night, about the terrified message sent at 4 a.m., about the stranger who showed up at her door and changed everything, about how the worst moment of her life became the beginning of something extraordinary. I love you, she says quietly. Alaric's arms tighten around her. I love you too, both of you, for as long as you'll have me. Forever sounds good. Forever it is. They stand together in a room full of immortal beings, watching a little girl who once feared shadows, now laughing with creatures from nightmares. And Gwyneth realizes this is what happy endings look like. Not perfect, but real. Not easy, but worth it. A family built from a desperate text message. A love forged from protection and trust. A life that began with fear and transformed into something beautiful. The vampire king and his human queen, chosen not by blood or tradition, but by a 6-year-old girl's terrified prayer at 4 a.m., and every day after, forever. The emergency call comes 3 weeks later, at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Gwyneth is at the restaurant, her restaurant now technically, reviewing inventory when her phone rings. The screen shows Rosie's school. Her stomach drops. Miss Park, this is Principal Hendricks. I need you to come to the school immediately. What happened? Is Rosie hurt? She's fine physically, but there's been an incident. Please come now. Gwyneth is out the door before the call ends, texting Alaric as she runs. At school. Emergency. Rosie. His response is instant. On my way. She makes it to the school in 8 minutes, bursting through the front doors to find Principal Hendricks waiting. The woman's face is pale, her hands clasped tightly together. Where is she? Gwyneth demands. My office. But Miss Park, I need to warn you. Gwyneth doesn't wait. She pushes past the principal, racing down the hallway to the administrative office. Through the window, she can see Rosie sitting in a chair, surrounded by 3 other women. One is Mrs. Chen, Rosie's teacher. The other 2 are strangers in expensive suits. She throws the door open. Rosie! Her daughter looks up, and Gwyneth's heart shatters. Rosie's face is tear-stained, her eyes red and swollen. She launches herself at Gwyneth, sobbing. Mommy, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. Didn't mean to what, baby? What happened? Gwyneth holds her tight, glaring at the women. Someone tell me what's going on right now. One of the suited women steps forward. Miss Park, I'm Detective Branson with Child Protective Services. We received a call about a concerning incident involving your daughter. The world tilts. CPS. Why? A classmate was injured today during recess. Your daughter was present when it happened. Detective Branson's voice is careful, measured. The other child claims Rosie pushed him off the climbing structure. He has a broken arm. That's impossible. Rosie wouldn't... I didn't push him, Rosie wails against Gwyneth's chest. I didn't. He was being mean, and I wished he would go away and then he fell. But I didn't touch him. Mrs. Chen speaks up, her voice gentle. Miss Park, I was supervising recess. I didn't see Rosie touch Tyler, but... She hesitates. Tyler was on the climbing structure. Rosie was on the ground, at least 6 feet away. She said something, I couldn't hear what, and Tyler just flew backward. Like he was pushed by an invisible force. The room goes silent. Gwyneth's mind races. Rosie's gift. Her sensitivity to the supernatural. The magic that young witches had been helping her control. She's 7 years old, Gwyneth says quietly. Children have arguments. Accidents happen. Miss Park, the second CPS agent steps forward. We have 3 witnesses, including a teacher, who say your daughter caused this injury through unconventional means, combined with reports that you've moved in with a man the child calls Daddy despite having no legal relationship, and the fact that you took her out of your previous residence in the middle of the night 3 months ago. That man saved us. He gave us a home. A home you have no legal claim to, no rental agreement, no documentation. Detective Branson pulls out a folder. Miss Park, we need to ensure Rosie is in a safe, stable environment. Given the circumstances, we're recommending a temporary removal until we can complete a full investigation. The words hit like a physical blow. You can't take her. You can't. Mommy? Rosie's voice is small, terrified. What does that mean? Before Gwyneth can answer, the door opens again. Alaric walks in, and the temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. He's wearing his business suit, his expression absolutely cold, and every person in the room instinctively takes a step back. Mr. Voss, Principal Hendricks stammers. I didn't realize you were... Rosie called me. His eyes find Gwyneth's, then Rosie's. She said she was scared, that people were trying to take her away from her mother. He moves to them, and Gwyneth feels the familiar safety of his presence. Is that true? Detective Branson clears her throat. And you are? Alaric Voss, guardian to both Gwyneth Park and Rosie Park. I have legal documentation to that effect. He produces a folder from his jacket. Prepared this morning, actually. Filed with the county. All perfectly legitimate. Legal guardianship requires a court process, which my lawyers expedited. You'll find everything in order. He hands her the documents. I'm also Rosie's emergency contact at this school, as per the enrollment forms, which means any decision regarding her welfare requires my consent. Detective Branson flips through the papers, her expression growing more frustrated. This is highly unusual, but legal. Now, shall we discuss what actually happened today? Alaric's voice is pleasant, but there's steel underneath. A 7-year-old girl was being bullied by a classmate. She defended herself. The classmate fell and was injured. Tragic, certainly, but hardly grounds for removal. The witnesses say she used... Detective Branson stops, seeming to realize how insane the words will sound. They say it wasn't a normal incident. Are you suggesting my daughter has supernatural powers? Gwyneth asks, forcing her voice steady. Because that sounds like discrimination based on some very wild assumptions. Mrs. Chen shifts uncomfortably. I know what I saw. You saw a child fall from playground equipment. Alaric's eyes fix on the teacher, and Gwyneth sees her flinch. A terrible accident. Nothing more. Unless you're prepared to testify in court that you witnessed actual magic. Which I imagine would be quite embarrassing for everyone involved. The silence stretches. Finally, Principal Hendricks speaks. Perhaps we're being hasty. If Mr. Voss has legal guardianship, and there's no evidence of abuse or neglect. There was an injury, Detective Branson insists. Tyler Rhodes is in the hospital with a broken arm. Rhodes? Alaric's expression shifts, something dangerous flickering across his face. Tyler's last name is Rhodes? Yes. His father is Corwin Rhodes. The name hangs in the air like a bomb. Gwyneth's blood runs cold. Corwin. The vampire who'd tried to kill them, who'd sworn to leave them alone. Interesting. Alaric says softly. And where is Mr. Rhodes now? On his way. He called us, actually. Said he was concerned about his son being in class with a dangerous child. Detective Branson's eyes narrow. Do you know him? We're acquainted. Alaric's hand finds Rosie's shoulder, protective. And this incident makes a great deal more sense now. What are you implying? I'm implying that Corwin Rhodes has a history of using children to manipulate situations. I'm implying this entire incident is manufactured. He looks at Mrs. Chen. Did Tyler provoke Rosie? What exactly did he say to her? The teacher swallows. He was saying things about her mother. Crude things. About her being a gold digger who traded herself for money. He said his father told him all about it. Gwyneth's face burns. Rosie had heard that. Had been humiliated in front of her classmates by a child parroting his father's poison. And then? Alaric prompts. Then Rosie got upset. She said to leave her alone. Tyler laughed and said his daddy was going to make sure she and her mommy lost everything, that they'd be on the streets where they belonged. Mrs. Chen's voice drops. That's when he fell. He fell, Alaric repeats. Or he jumped. Staged an injury to create exactly this scenario. CPS investigation, removal of the child, destruction of the family unit. Detective Branson looks skeptical. That's quite an accusation. Then let's test it. Where's Tyler now? Mercy General Hospital, room 304. Perfect. Alaric pulls out his phone, makes a call. Marcus, I need medical records for Tyler Rhodes, admitted today. Also his previous medical history. He pauses, listening. Yes, all of it. 10 minutes. He ends the call. We'll wait. You can't just access a child's medical records, Detective Branson protests. I can when I'm one of the hospital's largest donors and sit on their board. His smile is sharp. The benefits of obscene wealth, Detective. Everything becomes accessible. Gwyneth holds Rosie close, feeling her daughter's heart race against her chest. This is wrong. All of it. Corwin is using his own child to hurt them, and there's nothing. Alaric's phone buzzes. He reads the screen, and his expression turns glacial. Fascinating. Tyler Rhodes has been admitted to Mercy General 4 times in the last year. Twice for falls from playground equipment. Once for a suspicious stair injury. And once for what was documented as a bicycle accident. He looks up. All injuries occurred shortly after his father had disputes with business associates. All resulted in investigations or lawsuits against the other parties involved. What are you saying? Principal Hendricks asks. I'm saying Corwin Rhodes is using his son as a weapon, manufacturing injuries, filing complaints, destroying reputations. Alaric hands his phone to Detective Branson. I'm saying that child is being abused by his father, forced to hurt himself to serve an agenda. And I'm saying, if you remove Rosie from her home based on this fabricated incident, you're playing directly into an abuser's hands. The detective stares at the screen, her face paling. If this is true? It's true. I'll testify to it. I'll bring evidence of Rhodes's pattern of behavior. I'll provide sworn statements from victims of his previous schemes. Alaric's voice softens slightly. But first, I need you to do your job. Actually investigate. Look at Tyler's history. Interview him without his father present. Check his previous injuries against his father's business conflicts. Detective Branson looks between Alaric and Gwyneth, then down at Rosie. I'll need to speak with my supervisor. Do that. In the meantime, Rosie goes home with her mother, where she belongs. The detective hesitates, then nods. Pending investigation. But if we find any evidence, you won't, because there isn't any. Alaric's hand finds Gwyneth's back, steadying. Come on, let's go home. They make it to the car before Gwyneth breaks down. She leans against the Mercedes, shaking, while Alaric gently guides Rosie into the back seat and closes the door. Then he's there, arms around her, solid and real. He tried to take her, Gwyneth gasps. He tried to take my baby. He failed. But what if you hadn't come? What if you hadn't had those documents ready? What if... Stop! Alaric cups her face in his hands, forcing her to look at him. I will always come. I will always be ready. I will always protect both of you. That's what family means. He's going to keep trying. We humiliated him. He won't stop. No, Alaric agrees. He won't, so I'm going to end this. Permanently. Something in his voice makes her shiver. What are you going to do? What I should have done 6 months ago. I'm going to remove him as a threat. His eyes are pure gold now, blazing with ancient fury. He used his own child as a weapon against mine. That crosses every line that exists. Alaric, trust me, please. He kisses her forehead. Go home. Stay with Rosie. I'll handle this. She wants to argue. To tell him not to do anything reckless. But she's seen what Corwin is capable of. She knows this won't end with words or legal threats. Don't get hurt, she whispers. I won't. He smiles and it's predatory. I'm much older than he is, and much, much angrier. That night, while Rosie sleeps between them in the massive bed, Alaric makes calls. Gwyneth listens to fragments, ancient names, old debts, favors called in. By midnight, he has testimonies from 15 people Corwin has victimized. By 2 a.m., he has medical experts willing to review Tyler's injury pattern. By dawn, he has a case so airtight that CPS has no choice but to redirect their investigation toward Corwin. The call comes at 7 a.m., Detective Branson, her voice tight. Mr. Voss, we've reviewed the evidence you provided. We're opening an investigation into Tyler Rhodes's home situation. His father has been uncooperative. I imagine he has. We'd like to speak with you formally about your history with Mr. Rhodes. Of course, my lawyers will be present. There's something else. A pause. Tyler asked to speak with Rosie, without his father present. He said she tried to help him. That day on the playground. She saw his father watching from across the street, and she warned Tyler that something bad was going to happen. That's when he fell. Gwyneth's breath catches. Rosie had been trying to protect him. He said his father told him exactly what to say afterward. The detective continues. How to blame Rosie. How to make sure she got taken away. Tyler's been crying all night. He says he's sorry. He says his father hurts him when he doesn't do what he's told. That child needs protection, Alaric says quietly. Real protection. We're working on it, but Mr. Voss, thank you. If you hadn't pushed back, if you hadn't provided that evidence, we would have made a terrible mistake. After the call ends, Alaric holds Gwyneth close. Corwin is finished. The council is reviewing his status. Using his own son this way violates every code we have. He'll be stripped of his position, his businesses, everything. And Tyler? Will go to his mother. She's human, living in Seattle. Left Corwin years ago because of his violence. She's been fighting for custody ever since. He strokes her hair. He'll be safe now. Rosie stirs between them, yawning. Is it morning? It is, little one. Alaric touches her cheek. How do you feel? Tired. Is Tyler okay? I tried to stop him from falling, but I wasn't fast enough. Tyler is okay, and he wanted me to tell you something. Alaric's voice is gentle. He said thank you for trying to help, and he said he's sorry for the mean things he said. Rosie nods seriously. His daddy made him say them. I could tell. It made me sad. You have a good heart, Gwyneth murmurs, kissing her daughter's head. The best heart. That afternoon, they return to the school. Principal Hendricks apologizes profusely, explaining that Tyler has been withdrawn and transferred to his mother's care, that the investigation cleared Rosie completely, that they hope she'll continue attending. We will, Alaric says, but there will be changes. Changes? Security changes. I'll be providing funding for trained personnel who understand unusual situations. Children like Rosie, who have gifts, need environments where they're protected, not accused. His gaze is steady. This school will become that environment, or we'll find one that will. Principal Hendricks nods quickly. Of course, whatever you think is best. Walking back to the car, Rosie between them holding both their hands, Gwyneth feels something settle in her chest. This is what Alaric had meant about public validation, about claiming them before his world. The school knows now. CPS knows. Anyone who might threaten them knows. They're under the protection of Alaric Voss, and that means something. Ice cream? Alaric suggests. I think we've earned it. Yes, Rosie cheers, swinging their joined hands. Can I get 2 scoops? You can get 3 scoops, and sprinkles, and whatever else you want. He smiles down at her. You were very brave yesterday. I was scared, Rosie admits. But then you came. You always come when I'm scared. Always, he promises. That's what daddies do. The word hangs in the air. Rosie stops walking, looking up at him with wide eyes. Are you my daddy now? For real? Alaric crouches down to her level. If you want me to be. I know I'm not your real father, but I'd like to be your daddy anyway, if that's okay with you. Rosie throws her arms around his neck. Yes! Yes, yes, yes! Gwyneth watches them, her vision blurring. 6 months ago, she was drowning, working herself to death, watching her daughter suffer from nightmares she couldn't stop, facing eviction and poverty and impossible choices. Now she's standing in the sunshine, watching a 300-year-old vampire embrace her daughter while promising her the world. And it's real. It's theirs. That evening, after Rosie is asleep, Alaric finds Gwyneth on the balcony again. Their spot, where all the important conversations happen. You did good today, she says. With Rosie, with all of it. I did what needed to be done, what any father would do. He pulls her against his chest, chin resting on her head. Corwin is being dealt with. The council is handling it personally. He won't hurt anyone again. What will happen to him? Exile, stripped of power. He'll live, but only because killing him would be too kind. His arms tighten. He used his own child. There's no greater sin in our world. They stand in silence, watching the city lights. Then Gwyneth says, Rosie asked me something tonight, before bed. What? She asked if you were going to be her daddy forever, even when she's grown up, even when I'm old. She turns in his arms to face him. I didn't know how to answer. Alaric's expression is tender. What did you tell her? I told her yes, that you promised forever and you don't break promises. She searches his face. Was I right? Yes. He touches her cheek, thumb stroking her skin. I know what forever means better than most. I've lived through centuries. I've seen empires fall and stars die. And I'm telling you, Gwyneth Park, that I will be there for every moment of your life, for every birthday, every milestone, every joy and sorrow. I'll be there when Rosie graduates, when she falls in love, when she has children of her own. I'll be the grandfather who teaches them chess and tells them stories. I'll be there until the very end. And then I'll carry your memory for all the centuries after. Tears streak down Gwyneth's face. That's not fair to you. Watching us age while you stay the same. It's the greatest gift I could receive. Watching you live. Really live without fear, without struggle, knowing I gave you that. He kisses her, soft and deep. You saved me from an eternity of emptiness. Let me give you a lifetime of safety in return. I love you, she whispers against his lips. So much it scares me. I love you too. Both of you. My family. He pulls back, reaching into his pocket. Which is why I wanted to give you this. He opens a small box. Inside is a ring, simple, elegant, with a stone that catches the light like captured starfire. It's not a proposal, he says quickly. Not yet. You've had enough upheaval without me adding wedding pressure. But it's a promise, a symbol. When you're ready, if you're ready, I'll ask properly. Until then, I want you to know I'm yours. completely. For as long as you'll have me. Gwyneth takes the ring with shaking hands. It's warm, humming with subtle power. Is this enchanted? To protect you. To let me find you anywhere. To show everyone in both worlds that you're claimed. He slides it onto her finger. You're mine, Gwyneth. And I'm yours. No matter what comes. She kisses him, pouring everything into it. Gratitude and love and hope and promise. When they break apart, both breathless, she says, Ask me. What? Ask me, properly, because I already know my answer. Alaric stares at her. Then, slowly, he sinks to one knee on their balcony, taking her hand. Gwyneth Park. You walked into my life carrying a frightened child and a heart too brave for your own good. You taught me what it means to live, not just exist. You gave me purpose and family, and a reason to greet each new century with joy instead of weariness. Will you marry me? Will you let me stand beside you for all your days and love you the way you deserve? Yes. She's crying and laughing simultaneously. Yes. 1,000 times yes. He stands, lifting her off her feet and spinning her around. When he sets her down, his eyes are blazing gold, his smile brighter than she's ever seen it. When? He asks. Soon. Small. Just us and Rosie and whoever she wants to invite. Gwyneth touches his face. I don't need a spectacle. I just need you. You have me. Forever. They seal it with another kiss. They're on the balcony where so many important moments have happened. And far below, the city spreads out like a carpet of stars, full of promise and possibility. Inside, Rosie sleeps peacefully. No shadows haunting her dreams. Just safety. Just love. Just the certainty that her family is whole and real and permanent. A little girl who sent a desperate text at 4 a.m. to an unknown number. A mother who trusted a monster to save her. A vampire who learned that forever means nothing without someone to share it with. They found each other in darkness and built something radiant. Not perfect, but real. Not easy, but worth every struggle. And in the morning, when Rosie wakes to find them making breakfast together, Alaric at the stove, Gwyneth laughing at something he said, both of them wearing matching smiles, she'll know without being told that everything has changed, that they're not just staying in this beautiful place. They're building a home, a life, a future that stretches out bright and safe and full of love. Daddy, she'll say, and Alaric will turn, his entire face lighting up. Yes, little one? Can I have French toast? Always. And that simple exchange, that ordinary moment, will be everything. Proof that miracles happen, that families come in unexpected forms, that love finds a way, even in the darkest hours, that sometimes the scariest moments lead to the most beautiful beginnings.